Well, good afternoon, fellow adventurer. This is Thierry Pouy, the founder of Air Journey, and I'm very happy you join us at Air Journey for today's webinar. We're going to be reviewing a journey to South America, we call the highlight, which will take place this year, November 3rd to December 8th. Before we get started, a couple of important information. First, this webinar is being recorded. And at the end of the webinar, I will be sharing with you a YouTube version you'll be able to enjoy, replay, or share with some of your friends. On the right side of your screen, you should have a go to webinar control panel, which listed a number of information. The first one, important, you are all in a mute setup, which means that if you have any question related to the webinar, South America, or any other things, on the right side under the Go to Webinar Control panel, you have a little highlight there called question. You can list your questions there, and at the end of the webinar, I'll take the time to answer them with you. And there is also another little item there called Hands Out. We do have the flyer or the brochure describing this journey to South America. It's in PDF format, and you can download that to your computer and review all of the details. And we'll be keeping in touch as the time develops regarding this exciting program. So let's get started. First, so as I mentioned earlier, my name is Thierry Pouy. I'm the founder of Air Journey. I've had that much fun for the past 25 years organizing and escorting this exciting journey to the four corners of the world. And I have to say that South America was and is the first journey where we've done back in 2004 outside of the continent, and certainly enjoy. It's been very successful. We now run about 4 to 5 journeys every year, as well as some other journeys to the Galapagos and some other destination in South America, and there's more to come. But let's go over the details of this particular journey. So this one is a full description of South America. We leave from Florida, we'll be returning to Florida, and we visit through going through south on the west coast of South America, all the way down to Patagonia, to a place called Puerto Natales, via Peru with Machu Picchu, Uyuni, which is the salt flat of Bolivia, Iguazu Falls, which is the corner with Brazil on one side, Argentina on the other side, Paraguay on the other side, then Buenos Aires, then Patagonia, as I mentioned earlier on, Mendoza, to see the wine, the flat of Atacama. Then we go back towards Peru with Arequipa, then a cruise on the Amazon in Iquitos, and we end the journey in Cartagena, Colombia. So this part of your journey in November is 36 days, will be a little over 10,500 nautical miles. We'll be visiting 6 countries in one continent, and we have a total of 13 destinations. It's important to know that South America is a long country. It's basically from the top to the bottom about 6,000 miles. So you can't go just to one place. You really have to see everything if you want to enjoy. Countries visited during this program will be Colombia, Ecuador, Peru, Bolivia, Argentina, and Chile. And again, going over a little details, because before we go into the description of the journey, when you sign up with us, you sign up with the team at Air Journey, where we have a very important key person, part of the team. The most important one is the journey director. That will be the person who's going to be with you for the duration. It will be your guide, your director, your journey director, as we call it, the person to go to, the person sharing all of the happening every day, the person delivering the briefing for every flight. It's basically your go-to person during the journey. At the office, we have 2 separate departments, one called the land department, which organize all of the hotel, the sightseeing, the transfer, everything needs to be done on the land. And then you have the flight department, who is the team organizing everything from landing permit, overflight, refueling, fuel release, as we call them, preparing the briefing for each one of the flight, and keeping an eye on what's happening in the air. So let's together discover the itinerary of this exciting journey. Photo you see here is Patagonia, that's Torres del Paine. It's a beautiful setup down in that part of the world, and we're going there. I've got the journey in different legs, so just to go over with you what will happen. The first part of the journey is going to take us from Florida to Cartagena, Colombia. We'll be visiting the old part of the city. It's important because we're going back to Cartagena on the way back, and we'll be visiting something else in that part of the world. Then we go to Bogota. Then we go on to Quito, the capital of Ecuador. That will be also where we pass the equator, and then down to Cusco. So a little bit of Cartagena that was set up by the Spanish people in the time of the Incas, when we were going through all the gold of Peru and the different countries over there. They mark their time, territory, and brought all of the knowledge of Europe to that part of the world. We're staying at the Santa Clara Hotel, part of the Sofitel chain. It is also an old monastery who has been changed into a hotel. So you get the beautiful high beam room in the old portion. You get a courtyard. You get the French savoir-faire. You get a beautiful restaurant gourmet. Pretty exciting. And while we'll be in Colombia, we're going to discover the colorful inside street of the city and the charming colonial architecture, as we call it. Then we go on to Bogota. We'll be staying at the Four Seasons Casa Medina. Bogota is the capital of Colombia, and we're going to be visiting not only the city, but also what is worth to be seen in the country. So in the city, the Gold Museum, we're going to be seeing all what has been found. Not everything's been found because some of them was taken away, but a number of discovery there at the museum. And we'll leave the city, and we're going to see what we call the Salt Cathedral, which is an underground cavern of which a number of salt carved sculpture has been made, as well as a setup of a cathedral. It's pretty unique place, and certainly doesn't leave you, mind open to see what's going to happen there. From there, we're going to be flying further south to Quito, the capital of Ecuador, and we'll be staying at Maspi Lodge, which is within the cloud forest of Ecuador, and it's also a very luxurious eco retreat. Maspi Lodge, you're going to be a number of biodiversity you're going to be seeing. There's a guide dedicated to you. You can see at the bottom photo over here, there's some aerial train where you're going to be able to see the cloud forest from on top, and all the animal and the culture. Very unique experience. After we go back to Quito, and we fly to the middle of the Andes into Cusco. And Cusco is getaway for Machu Picchu, which is what you see on the photo over here. It's a very unique point, of course, first for the pilot point of view, because the elevation of Cusco is at 11,000 feet. Well, the runway is at 10,702 feet. So we need personal permission. We need to demonstrate to the people of the Peruvian Aviation Department that we have an airplane who's capable of landing, taking off from that altitude. And the Peruvian have a specific requirement based on the type of license you have. If you happen to have a commercial or an ATP pilot license, then you need a Class 1 medical. If you only have a private pilot license, you need a Class 2 medical. So it's all part of the special landing permission. When you sign up for the journey, we go over the details and discuss all of these things with you. The approach into Cusco is interesting. It's a one-way approach. You can only come into the airport from one side, and you take off in reverse. Then when we are in Cusco, we'll be staying at the unique Belmont Monasterio Hotel, which is also a former monasterio, has been changed into a beautiful hotel. It's in the heart of the historic city of Cusco. And beside the guided tour of the town of Cusco, One day we're going to take the magnificent Bigham train, who's going to take us following the valley into Cusco. And then when we arrive, not Cusco, I'm sorry, Machu Picchu. When we arrive in Machu Picchu, we're going to be transferred by bus to the foot of this abandoned city, which is the highlight of Peru, and we'll be able to discover what was built by a previous generation. After Cusco, we'll stay also in the high altitude. We go to Uyuni, which is the salt flat of Bolivia. Go over a little bit of description, then Puerto Iguazu, which is Iguazu Falls, and then to Buenos Aires. As you can see, the distance there are very reachable by any type of airplane. The only limitation, of course, will be the takeoff altitude of Cusco and landing altitude of Uyuni. After Uyuni, we'll be back into the lowland and the valley. Uyuni, as you can see on this photo, is a salt lake. There is a dry season, there is the wet season. The photo here is showing you the wet season, where there's a little layer of water, and that gives us a fantastic reflection. It's also made of salt, so that's one of the biggest riches of Bolivia, because this is used a lot for the lithium battery, which are making our life experience every day. The hotel we're staying there is the Palacio del Sal. So Palacio is the name, Sal means it's made of salt, and everything there is salt, pretty exciting. We're going to be exploring the area around Uyuni, and there's quite a numerous number of photos who can be taken with the reflection, as you can see on the left side, a number of things. Unique experience, high altitude again. Then from there, we leave the high altitude and we go east towards the falls of Iguazu. And we'll be staying at a unique hotel called Awazi Iguazu, very small hotel, only about 12 rooms, reserved for us, for the group, and right in the midst of the rainforest. And you can see this magnificent amount of water coming down and starting one of the local river. We will be going on the river. We'll be going to the Devil Throat. You're going to get wet a little bit if you want. And that's certainly a very interesting interaction. We are staying on the Argentinian side, but as I mentioned in my introduction, there's also the Brazilian side and the Paraguay side of the falls. After Iguazu, we are on our way down to Buenos Aires. We'll be staying in the heart of the city at the Four Seasons. And what is there to do in Buenos Aires? Well, it's to go back to your vague notion of tango. We'll be enjoying certainly a beautiful tango performance at the timing of the people from Argentina. It's very, very unique. The city tour is also magnificent. We'll be going to the Recoleta Cemetery. We're going to see the Playa de Mayo. Buenos Aires is known as the Paris of the South, and it certainly keeps its name. It's a beautiful city, very open. From there, on our next description of the journey, we'll be going down towards Torres del Paine. We'll be landing at Puerto Natales Airport. For the people who don't have the range, we'll make a technical stop in Troilo to get some fuel. And then after Patagonia, we're going to go back on our way to Mendoza with a fuel stop again, Puerto Montt. And after Mendoza, we are going on to Atacama Desert. Patagonia is known as a biosphere. It's been protected by the different countries of the world, UNESCO and so on. A very, very unique place. And we're staying at a small hotel called Tierra Patagonia, which is right there in the middle of everything. And from there, you're going to be enjoying the magical night, experience the wonders of the region like you've never seen before. There's no light pollution. It's a very fresh air, no air pollution. A very, very enjoyable destination. And I want to point out that the November journey that we are experiencing is going to be hitting at the beginning, that area, at the beginning of their summer. Remember, south of the equator, the zone change as well as the season. So it's going to be winter, beginning of winter for us. It's going to be the beginning of summer for them. pretty exciting understatement of what's happening. After the wonder of the different scenery going to be seeing, then our next stop is Mendoza in Argentina. We've chosen a place there called Cavas Wine Lodge. Why? Because you are in the middle of all of the grapes and you're going to be enjoying the beautiful local wine. That's the whole idea of Mendoza, is to see what they have to offer. It's not the same thing as what you find in Europe. They have different type of grapes. A number of European wine companies have basically started to do their own wine in that part of the world. Very fascinating place, very enjoyable, and definitely different taste of what you can see for the wine. After Mendoza in Argentina, we're going to cross the border again, flying over the Andes to land in the Atacama Desert. That's on the west side of the flat of Uyuni, but it's in Chile, not Bolivia. It's supposed to be the driest place on Earth. I use the word suppose because I've been there twice and I got some rain, but that must be me. We're staying again at the Tierra Hotel called the Tierra Atacama, and there's numerous things to be done. If you'd like to go horseback riding, that can happen. There's a land organization where you can see volcanoes set up, the geyser, there's a moon valley. Very, very unique, very dry. Happen to be, we're not going there, but happen to have a place there where you can see the star, because it's one of the less polluted place in the world, and you have a unmasked vision of the stars and so on. It's a sight to be seen every night. And from there, we take our track back towards home, slowly but surely. After Atacama, we'll be going to Arequipa in Peru. Then after that, we go to Iquitos. That's where we'll start our cruise on the Amazon. Then back to Cartagena, but a different place and outside of the city. I'll go over the details. And then back home, either if it's Florida, we'll go to Key West. If you are coming from the center of the country or from the West Coast, then we'll do a return via Brownsville, Texas, and then take you home. So Arequipa is the third largest city in Peru, built again by the Spaniard during the time of exploration and Inca and so on. We're staying in a very unique hotel downtown. It's a boutique hotel showing a lot of the colonial past, and we're certainly going to be enjoying that destination, what to discover. There's a lot of mixed over there between Spaniard and Incas. The population has a tendency to be a little bit shorter and very colorful. From then, as I mentioned, we're going to be on the Amazon cruise, which will be leaving out of Iquitos. We'll be boarding the Aqua Nera, which will be our home for the next 3 days. It is a very beautiful and unique vessel, smooth riding, and there is a number of naturalists on board the boat. So we'll be seeing the animals, we're going to see the birds, the monkeys, we're going to be fishing into the Amazon. We might see also the pink dolphin, a very unique experience. And we'll see also the place where the two Amazon mix. So you have two different colors. They don't mix right away. So you can see a little lighter color than the other one. Again, very, very unique place. There's a tropical rainforest. It does happen to be raining a lot, but we're going there to the less wet time of the year, so should be very enjoyable. And from there, as I mentioned, we go back to Cartagena. The photo over here shows you the hotel on the right. It's going to be a relaxing destination. We'll be on the seaside. We'll be able to dwell down, enjoy the place. There's no much noise. There's nothing much like that happening. And on this photo, you see all the way in the background there, very, very far, basically the setup of the new city of Cartagena. So we're pretty far out from the place. Most likely we'll be getting to the hotel by boat. And it's called the Baru Casablanca. That's the name of the place. There is a spa, state-of-the-art treatment, and we can rejuvenate before we can go back home. So let's go. That's basically the review of the itinerary of the journey. Let's go over what's happening during the journey. What's very important for us is the group dynamic. A journey to South America, like most of our journeys, limited to 6 airplanes. The main reason for the 6 airplane is because of parking, overflight, arrival, and so on. But while we limited to 6 airplanes, we are not limited to friends or family joining up. And we love to have a mix of people changing during the journey because the dynamic change. We have new people, new stories, news happening. And as you can see, all the smiley faces on the photos here, very much enjoyable every time. The pace of the journey is very important. So one of the rules set up by my wife when her journey was started 25 years ago, we need to spend 3 or 4 days at each location. So we don't leave out of a suitcase. That's why we mentioned 2 to 3 nights. We also try to do not 9 a.m. departure. Before 9 a.m. We try to do them at 9 a.m. because there is no reason to rush to the airport. Remember, everything is taken care of. Flight plan has been filed for you. All of the authorization has been done. And we also set up with your OK to settle all the bill at the different airport by the office. So we will be asking you for an advance deposit, and we'll be paying all of these things. So that's minimize the time at the airport. So if we look at the pace of the journey, there's about 40% touring, 25% relaxing, 30% of the day we fly, and 5% of them are fuel stops. So really maximize the airplane, the site, the discovery of the journey. So what do we need for the journey? We need some visas along the way. This is something that Air Journey keep very much track of because they change on a regular basis. And we do the work for you. In this case, South America, at this time, we need 2 visas, one of them Bolivia, which is done on arrival, and Brazil has decided to reinstate the visa, which will be an electronic visa, and that would start in October 2023. It was not the case earlier on this year. So we will be helping you out to secure all of that on the journey. We're talking about luggage and packing. You're going to go from warm climate on the seaside in the Caribbean Sea to high altitude, Cusco, Uyuni, Atacama, as well as down south towards Patagonia. While we're going to be in summer, you can have some cold night. I am not talking freezing night, but might be some cold night. So packing is very important. And the main concept is you need to stage for easy travel. Luggage on wheels make life a lot easier. Since you have larger plane and maybe only 2 of you in the plane, you should organize the luggage by weather type. Remember that along the way we have laundry services, and we do negotiate with the hotel, and we'll let you know during the journey what will be available, so you can have a number of things being dry cleaned or going to the washer. We'll provide for each of the airplane luggage a luggage tag of a certain color with the tail number on one side, with your name on the other side. So it's very easy for the people at the airport as well as the hotel how to organize the luggage and make sure we go to the right room. And we need to pay close attention on packing the plane. This is what you should not do. I love to show that photo because that's a real one on one of our journey. This airport is in Spain, and these were the luggage of 2 people, only 2 people. To their defense, that was the first journey they were traveling with us. We learned things. Temperature along the way, as you can see, we're going to be in the 90s. We're going to be lowest in the 60s with an average of around 70 degrees. And at the bottom of the chart, you see the different city where that will happen. So very pleasant, very mild. Communication on the journey, that's for you, your family, your office, and so on. So make sure your telephone is registered for international service rate. Don't get overcharged. You can use iMessage, FaceTime, WhatsApp, sat phone, everything work over there. We also love to share our adventure. I'm sure you love to share your adventure. Let's go over a couple of things can be done over here. WhatsApp is a very easy way to do that, instant and on the moment, and you can keep everybody abreast of your happening on the journey. If you have the time, it's always nice to do a personal blog where you're going to write more in length what has happened during the day, what photos you want to share with the groups, and so on. I have done blog over the years. The beauty of these days now is that you can do a blog offline, prepare everything, and when you're back connecting to the internet, press the button and everybody will have access to it. Internet has made a lot of improvement down south over the years, and you're pretty much connected all the time. During our journeys, most of them, we organize what we call a tripcast. This is an application free of charge. We set all of that up for you. And that's where you can upload your best photo, not all your photo, your best photos. Everybody will do the same. And at the end of the journey, you're going to have a roster between 500 to 1,000 of everybody's best photos, which you can enjoy your phone, but you can also get download at home, and you can do your own photo book and so on. And we also, for 2023, added a little gimmick to our long journey. You will be receiving a, how would you call that, a display, about 15-inch display, where we upload the best photo of the journey and download it through the internet. You have that in your living room, your office, wherever you want to do. And on an interval of 5 to 10 seconds, these photos will go on rotation, and you can share them with your family and friends. Anybody doing Instagram? Instagram is available all the way. It's always very nice to share with people. They know where you are. They know what you do. Facebook is another way to share information. And now let's go over the flying of the airplane. I think I missed one slide. Here you are. We always pay close attention to safety along the way. So we pay very close attention to weather. I'm a weather chicken. The weather is bad. I don't need to go anywhere. That's very clear. We don't do any night operation anywhere. We do pay close attention to the world situation. And as a matter of fact, for this year, South America journey, 30 days prior to the departure in March, we basically pulled the plug on Peru. There was a bit of, not a little bit, there was some unrest going on over there because of the local political situation. So we did bypass Peru, and we went straight to Quito, Ecuador, and so on. We monitor the situation in every one of these countries, and if we need to change the program, we will do so. We also keep track of the separation between departure, usually 10 minutes apart between every airplane, just to make sure of that. We organize the fuel release, so make sure that there is a fuel at the destinations we're going to. And we pay close attention to the airport environment in the point of view that we want the airport to be fenced, secure, ICAO approved. We're not going to go on dirt strip. We're not going to go to places where the plane is parked outside with no security and so on. It's very important for us to see what's happening, and I'm sure for you too. Over COVID time, we had plenty of time, I'm sure, like most of you. So AirJourney created the AirJourney app, which is basically an application which will be on your phone and your iPad. Doesn't work on the Android, where the office will be pushing the briefing, will be pushing the important information of the journey. You will not depend from an email attachment, whatever, and so on. Everything will be there at the fingertip. And on the first time we meet prior to the journey, we go over the details, we explain how the thing works, we make sure you understand, and you're going to see it might be a little overwhelming at the beginning, but at the end of the journey, you cannot leave without it. The key element of our air journey, of course, is the fact we fly our own airplane, but we also prepare a very detailed flight briefing, and we review the flight briefing the night before departure. And in that flight briefing, we basically go over the route to be used with the departure, the en route, the arrival, the ground procedure, the altitude, copy of the flight plan, if there's any weather to be concerned en route or any NOTAMs, whatever, all of that is shared. We take good time not only to prepare the briefing, but also to share it with you. And one key important, of course, is to look at the weather forecast, TAF, satellite view, and radar. So it is one of the key elements of our journeys. Aircraft maintenance, that's something we pay attention to. I can't tell you that there's never any issues on our journey. There is issues with airplane on the journey. We have the list of a number of service center. We have also a list of local mechanic. And when anything happens to the airplane, we are with you fixing the problem. So I won't go into the details, but if any one of you call me, I can share a number of a number of things, even things we've had happen this year. But everyone has been resolved. Everybody went back home with their aircraft. Service center along south, as you can see, there's some in Central America, there's some in Bogota, there's some in Santiago, Buenos Aires, in Brazil. So we're never that far away from a service center if we need to fly there, and we're not far away if they need to send somebody to us. So and we have a good number of numbers, so we are on top of the situation. Fueling, there's a number of things over here. Compared to the US, the fueling is not done by the FBO. Most of the time is done by independent fuel company. So they want a crew member to be present at the time of fueling. We usually organize the refueling on arrival. That basically prevents us if there's any issues with equipment, with delay because of airline and so on. So at least we know it's done. We do the fuel release on your behalf. If you don't have a fuel card, we'll secure one for you, and we'll go over the details with that. The jet fuel price this year average was $4.15. You're going to say, oh, that's a lot cheaper in the US. Yes, it is, but this is just for fuel. And there's going to be fees for FBO, there's going to be fees for parking, there's be fees right and left. So we're pretty similar to what you would pay in the US, even more expensive, but it's separated between the fuel and the cost of the FBO. In South America, the fuel is not pre-mixed. So if you do need to have a fuel additive, you have to bring it with you, and you need to be the one dispensing the pre-mixed, I mean, not the pre-mixed, the priest into the tank while the fueler is doing the gas or the jet fuel. Airplane fees, as we discussed before, there is going to be some for handling, custom, immigration, landing, parking, overflight, landing permit, and the best method of payment, of course, to organize that through Air Journey. So we'll go over these details on that one. We do recommend to take trip cancellation insurance and medical insurance, but we need to keep in mind that the trip cancellation does not cover for any airplane mechanical issues, doesn't cover for an AOG situation. So you need to make sure you understand that if a pilot become incapacitated because of sickness or a flu, whatever, and so on, you'll be covered. But if it's due because the airplane is AOG, that will not work. So again, we'll have to give you the explanation over the phone of the do and the don't for that cancellation insurance. And so now, we come to an end on the presentation of the destination. I'm going to see on the question if there's any question I've been asking. The first question is regarding the weather. We should have no issues at that time of the year. As you can see on the itinerary, we're staying on the outside, on the Pacific side, so it's usually very, very dry. And the end is also the same thing. So weather along the way is pretty nice. Experience any difficulties with insurance? Insurance is a question. Colombia sometimes is shown on the policy to be not included in the original policy. We have all the form required, the necessary verbiage, and by simply telling your insurance company you'll be going on an escorted journey with Air Journey, this weather is been taken care of. The only countries where insurance is a big problem are places like North Korea, Iran, Libya, and so on. That's a lot more difficult to secure. And an interesting destination is Cuba. Cuba's still been prohibited from flying to. Insurance company will not cover. And the reason it's not a politic statement on their side is the fact that if an airplane become AOG in Cuba, if the manufacturer or your mechanic send any kind of parts and basically try to bring the plane back together, that's like dealing with the enemy. So the insurance company do not cover Cuba, so they will not be facing with the request from an owner to send somebody and fix an airplane who might be damaged over there. The other question we have also, it's regarding children. Sometimes they are most likely taken on board with us. Yes, we do accept children. We need to look at the age. Next question about vaccination. Some of them are recommended. None of them are required. Since we go in the Amazon, we might have to take the anti-malaria pills. And there's also, from time to time, the word of yellow fever vaccination. That's, again, depending the way the itinerary is done, and that will have to be taking place. And that's basically all the questions I have at this time. I want to thank you to attend the webinar. As I say previously, this one has been recorded, and either later on today or tomorrow, I'll be sending you a link, and you'll be able to review all the details on YouTube. And if you want to call us for any question, there's all the team here is ready and answer any question you might have and not have time to write down. Thank you very much for attending. See you next time.